is Dedric Polite. This is my gorgeous wife, Crystal Polite. For those who don't know us, we are entrepreneurs. We are a married couple, first and foremost, parents of 2 kids. What else? We do a lot. We basically try to live our life together, right? When we first got together, we wanted to build a family legacy of not just business, but also a legacy for our 2 sons. And that's exactly what we're doing. And we live life together. I know when we first got together, we both had corporate jobs and we were going our separate ways and barely seeing each other. But our goal from the beginning was to build something together where we actually spend the majority of our time together, unlike a lot of couples. So very excited to bring on our special guest today to talk about relationships, business, marriage, and it all intersects. We may think that it's separate silos, but everything is really a full circle. So with that, I'll hand it over to my wife, who will do the introduction of our special guest.
So I am so excited for this 7-stream session, because this is something that's really, really near and dear to my heart. Anyone who's ever heard my husband and my story in regards to how we got started and how we met when we initially met, everyone knows I tell the story of how when we were dating 2 months in, I told him we're going to couples counseling. And we were literally just dating. That's it. And a lot of people was like, wow, you know, what did he say? He said what typical men say, I'm not going.
I went kicking and screaming.
And I told him, oh, I apologize. The real conversation said, I said, oh, you know what? You're right. I apologize. I said that wrong. You're going to couples counseling. I will send you the Google invite. Please don't be late, because you know how I am when people are late.
It wasn't optional. And I'm glad she did that.
I said, to be with me, you will be there on time. And he was there, and he loved every minute of it. And it has definitely transformed our relationship, because I come from a single parent household. He came from a single parent household. I said, we're not going to pretend to act like we know what we're getting into. We can't go by what the Cosbys and everyone looks like. We can't base our family off that. So I said, I'm an advocate for therapy and counseling. And here, that's what led us up to today, guys. I'm super excited to introduce, and I've been looking for a therapist forever online. And a friend of mine said, hey, listen, you got to look this lady up. She's amazing. I've seen her on the Doctors TV show. It's The Doctors, right? Yeah, she was like, and I follow her on social media. She was like, oh my gosh, she's the real deal. So I looked her up and started following her, and I just went through all her posts. I'm like, oh my God. Well, I saw her videos. I was like, yo, she is amazing. And we joined her. She has a course for couples. It's like an entire community that my husband and I joined, which she's going to give you all the information about. But her name is Kiaundra Jackson, you guys. She's out of California, all the way from Compton. And if you go look her up, make sure you look up at Kiaundra Jackson. You'll see her on, like I put on the flyers and stuff, BET, CW, Fox. She is literally America's #1 therapist, relationship therapist. She is like truly the real deal. So make sure you guys go and follow her after tonight. And we're going to literally open it up, because we have some amazing questions that we want to get to. So Kiandra, anything you want to say before we get started?
I want you to tell the people how you slid in my DMs. That's what I want you to tell the people.
I sure did.
She forgot that part, right? She slid straight up in my DMs.
I sure
let it sit for a minute, because I was like, I don't know this lady. I get 1 million requests a day. But I went to her page, and then she wound up following up with an email and like doing everything that she was supposed to do. And I was like, okay, I might could rock with this one. And so when we talked, like, it was just a good fit. And I was like, let's do it. So here I am. I'm excited to get all of these juicy questions in. And it seems like you guys have an amazing network of people who are hungry, who are wanting to go hardcore for their relationships, and y'all know I'm all here for it.
Yes, and I slid y'all up in them DMs. So what we're gonna do, guys, is I'm gonna start off reading the questions that we had submitted. So we don't know who submitted the questions. They came in anonymously.
Yep.
So I'll just read them off and Kiandra will answer them. And trust me, I'm sure a lot of these are really transparent. So they're gonna go across the board and there'll probably be some questions that you yourself would have been like, oh man, I wish I'd asked that too. So first question. Oh, wow, okay. How do you work through your husband's porn addiction?
Okay, so before we get started, let me give 2 disclaimers. One, I keep it real. Just like Krystal said,
100.
there is no topic that is off. Listen, I give it to you raw, straight to the point, dirty, clean. So if it's a little too blunt for you guys, sorry, but sometimes that's exactly what we need. You don't need people to coddle you and hold your hand. So I'm going to give it to y'all raw today. And secondly, please do not leave this live saying Kiandra said I need to stay together or Kiandra said I need to divorce. I don't tell people what to do with their relationships. What I do is I basically hold a mirror up to your situation and I let you decide what you want to do with your relationship after you have all of the information. So first question is, how do you deal with your husband's porn addiction? So addiction is a huge deal. And when we talk about addiction, we're not just talking about something that people struggle with or dibble and dabble like periodically. We're talking about something that's impacting other areas of your life, right? And so addiction, when it gets to the point of addiction, I would honestly, first of all, suggest seeking professional help. And just like Krystal and Dedric just mentioned, like therapy isn't something that you need to be afraid of, but there are sexual addiction specialists or therapists who specialize in porn addiction, internet addiction, all types of stuff, right? And so I would highly encourage this couple to, first of all, tap into that to see what's good. Secondly, typically when someone has an addiction that's centered around some type of like sexual stuff, it's based from some trauma response that they had early on that they may or may not even know is affecting them today. So sometimes people will have like, they have been molested or sexually assaulted, men included. Don't think it's just a women thing, but men just don't speak about it as much. So it could be that, but it also needs to stem, or we have to realize that it has to stem from some of the things that may be lacking in a relationship. So I have seen couples tap into pornography and there's no judgment here, right? Because I know couples who watch pornography together, right? And it doesn't affect their relationship. So it depends on how you rock and roll. There's no judgment here. But when it starts to impact your relationship and you would rather go to that than go to your spouse, that's when it becomes an issue. So I would say professional help. I would say try to figure out what the root cause of it, where it originated and came from, and what can you do in the interim to kind of navigate that person to you and not to internet or not to magazines or whatever it is that they watch.
Awesome. That's woo. That
Want me to ask the next one?
Yeah.
Okay, man, she bringing the heat early. So
No.
how do you get your husband to understand you need help with the children and the house and you have to do more than just go to work?
Woo. Okay. Are we saying that there needs to be a balance of household responsibilities? Is that kind of what the question is?
Yeah.
Answering? Okay. So this kind of goes back to what I typically talk about in regards to like gender roles and expectations. So if we look at what a traditional like heterosexual relationship or marriage looks like, and this has changed, so don't get it twisted because this has shifted, but traditionally men are the breadwinners, right? They bring home the bacon, they do all of that. Women stay at home, take care of the kids, take care of the household. Now, a lot of people still have that mentality, they just don't want to say it. Let's be clear. And that's what they prefer, right? But it also goes back to what they saw in their own household growing up, right? So we'll say, like, for example, my grandparents, rest in peace, they had that traditional. Grandpa brought home the bacon. Grandma literally was a homemaker, never drove, nothing, right? She completely depended on my grandfather. Now, when it came to my household, both parents had to work. And we live in California, and some of y'all live in Miami. So I know y'all know what it's like to live in a high profile city, an expensive city where both people have to work, right? And so it's okay to acknowledge that you may have those mindsets, but at the same time, you have to convey that to your partner. And this goes back to that premarital part, because this is something that I go over heavy in premarital counseling, because what happens is you have these expectations. Oh, my wife is gonna come home, she gonna cook every single night, she gonna rub my feet, no, when you got these kids, when you don't work the full 12-hour day and you wanna have sex, like it's a lot, you know? And so I want this couple or this person to think about literally communicating her needs to her partner. Like, it seems like she may, and this is just an assumption because I don't know this person, might be keeping it in a little bit, right? And just going with the flow. But I want her to say, hey, baby, I need help. Hey, can you take the kids a bath? Can you help them with the homework? Can you pick them up? It's okay to say that you need help. And that way you will allow your partner to fill in the gaps and holes, because if you don't say nothing, your partner's not a mind reader. He might think you superwoman and you got it because you handling it so well. So I want us to think about that opportunity to say, hey, baby, I need some of this help here. Can you help me out here? And then go from there.
Jules there.
Right. Next question. How do you truly get past infidelity? How can I get it out of my mind?
So there is no way to get it out of your mind. There is no magic machine that will suck out the memories or anything like that. However, if both parties are all in, meaning they want the relationship or the marriage to work, they are trying, they are righting their wrongs and doing all of that stuff, I have seen it possible for marriages to survive infidelity. But again, both people have to be all in, right? So that basically means I always tell clients, especially those who deal with infidelity, at some point your trust has been broken. Let's be clear, right? And cheating doesn't always have to be sexual. So let's get that clear, right? It could be emotional cheating. I talked about something when I was on the Essence podcast about micro cheating. We ain't got time to go super deep into all of this stuff, but there's different forms of cheating. And just because somebody didn't have sex with somebody, that doesn't mean that they didn't give someone more attention, more time that they should be giving to their partner. So you can get over infidelity if you try to regain that trust. And I tell people the first step to doing that is securing your partner's insecurities. I'm gonna say that again for the people in the back. You have to secure your partner's insecurities. So that basically means in the areas that you were lacking, in the areas that you may have slipped up in, say for instance, you didn't come straight home after work, you went to old girl house or old boy house, right? But you was lying, talking about you going to the gym. Right. You might have to check in when you get off work. You might have to call your spouse and be like, hey baby, I just got off work, but I'm headed home, or I'm going to do this before I head home, right? It's basically putting those things in place. It's not being like a baby and you got to check in, right? But it's basically making sure that your spouse feels comfortable with what you're doing. So it's not impossible, but it is a hard or a longer road once infidelity has been introduced into your relationship.
Yeah, I think that's interesting because there's two schools of thought, right? Some people, mostly men, think if someone cheats or if the woman cheats, they can't ever get over it. And usually it's women who, forgive cheating or they don't forgive, right? But
yeah, and also, good point. One more thing I want to add, I always say there's two. And I don't want to step on people's toes here, but there's always a cheater and a cheatee, right? So the person who cheated and the person who got cheated on. Now, even though you got cheated on, you still have a role in the infidelity. I'm gonna say that again. She done slid out her seat, y'all. Even though you were the person who got cheated on, you still have a role in the infidelity. So that means something was particularly probably lacking in the relationship or the marriage where that person had to go and seek it out from somewhere else, right? Whether it was not sex or not paying attention to them or whatever they were lacking, right? You still had a role in it. Every single partner that I challenge that, they get all offended at first, like, he cheated on me, she cheated on me, I ain't got no role, but what happened before that?
Right.
Oh, well, I didn't have sex with him for 6 months. Well, hello, men have needs too. So you have to remember that both parties have a role and you have to own your part in it too. So that's important in regards to infidelity as well.
Wow. So this next question is kind of on the same vein. Is when the trust is broken, how do you work towards restoring it? And is the burden on the person who broke the trust?
I think that kind of just covers what I just mentioned a little bit, right? So the burden isn't necessarily on the person who broke the trust. Yes, they got a little bit more, probably the piece of the pie is on them, but also too, you have to own your role in it as well. And so they kind of have to do any and everything that they need to do to make sure that you are feeling loved and heard and appreciated and not disrespected. So I kind of think I went over that one in the previous question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So next question. I am single and over 40. Could it be me?
First of all, big ups to this person who said, could it be me? Right? Because oftentimes we always put it on the other out there in the world. It ain't enough good guys out there. It ain't enough Black men. It ain't enough this. It ain't enough that, right? But this person said, okay, I've been single for this long. Is there a possibility that I am doing something wrong, right? And this is twofold, because what I love about singleness is that I think we want to get out of it too quick all the time, right? It's like, I'm actually single, crazy enough in this phase, but I love my singleness. I can get up and go, honey. I ain't got no kids. I can catch a flight. I ain't got nobody checking on my money. Like, I love this season of my life, right? And I think oftentimes when we're single, yes, we kind of long for that partnership or that companionship, but it isn't the end of the world. You're not gonna die from being single. You're not. So spend this time working on you. Get your money right, get in shape, start eating right, get your career together, honey. Like, do what you need to do so when that man or woman, whoever said this question comes along, you ready, right? You don't have to get ready. So let's be clear that singleness isn't a death sentence. Secondly, it could possibly be you. I'm not gonna lie, sis or bro, whoever, it could possibly be you. And I'm saying that because there are times when we do everything that we think we know how to do, but we're still expecting God to drop a spouse right in our living room. And we know that ain't the case. You gotta get out there. You gotta go places. You can't just live in your house being a little hermit and thinking somebody gonna come knocking on your door unless he the UPS man or something like that, right? So you have to get yourself out there too. Go to networking events. Go to the grocery store. Go to Home Depot. There's a whole bunch of cute guys at Home Depot.
I tell people to hit Home Depot all the time.
Listen, Home Depot, the barbershops, the gym, honey, y'all better write these down. This is a good place to find a man. So it could be you. So I would say just position yourself in a place or places where you can be found.
In the comments, they said, you're bringing the heat, Kiandra. Keep it coming. So the next one.
Wait. Let me scroll back down. Right here.
So this one says, my question as a man is how do I handle consistent rejections from my wife? It has been multiple years since any type of intimacy.
Oh. So I'm assuming we're talking about sexually. Like he's trying to get some and the wife is like, no, not happening. Is that what we're talking about here?
Yep.
Yeah,
that kind of seems like it, right? Yeah. Okay. So I'm curious to find out how long this couple has been married and if they have any children. And those two questions are important because oftentimes in those scenarios, that's when things shift and change, right? When you've been married like a long time, like sex can get mundane, sex can get monotonous, right? And that's why I tell people keep it spicy, you know what I mean? Like switch the game up and don't just be boring. But I lost my train of thought. Oh, so if he's getting rejected, maybe there's something going on the wife's end. It seems like he's internalizing it and making it about him, like he's doing something wrong. But I almost got a feeling that something's going on with the wife. So I'm not saying nobody's cheating, but that's something to consider because men and women have needs, sexual needs. And if you going years without something, that means you might be getting it from somewhere else. That's one. Two, there could possibly be some biological issues going on with your wife, right? I don't know how old she is, if she's going through the change, menopause. Even after you've had children, sometimes you lose that lack of desire and that drive. Your libido changes as well. So that's something to consider, and she might need to go get checked out by a doctor just to make sure physiologically she's doing good. And my advice for the dude is to don't give up. I know rejection can be hard, but if you want your marriage to last, a really huge component of this is having some type of sexual or physical intimacy with your partner, right? Like you're not asexual or a hermit or you have no needs. You have to tend to this area. So I'm gonna challenge the wife, if she don't have no physiological issues, no medication or nothing that's messing up her, female organs, you need to get it together, sis. Like what's really going on? So that will be my response to that.
Okay. What do you do if your husband isn't interested in getting into entrepreneurship, but you are, and it's causing problems in the relationship?
This is a good one. This is really good. Woo! Okay, so I would want to get to the root cause of like why he doesn't want to do it. Rashana said, hey, this is a good one. Rashana, is this your question? I'm just kidding. We're not going to put you on blast. But I would want to know what the root issue of him not wanting to get into entrepreneurship is, right? Because oftentimes people don't want to do things that are scary and that are outside of the box. So it sounds like to me that he might potentially have some fear of failure, right? Because entrepreneurship is not for everybody.
Right.
And two, it can be up and down depending on where you're at in the phase of your business, right? So when you in that first beginning stages, first few years, you building, you grinding, right? And you may not always be making the most money or whatever, but when you get that ball rolling and you in there like swimwear, like it's a different ball game. So I would encourage her to find out why he doesn't want to get into it and tell him to be honest about the real reason of it. And then secondly, I feel twofold about this one. Because I feel like, because I'm a woman of faith, I'm a God girl, right? And I understand the biblical principle of being one with your husband. But at the same time, if you feeling like God was the one who put this entrepreneurship and this business on your heart, like you have to do what God told you to do too, right? Like your relationship status, single, divorced, married, widow, whatever, that is not contingent on what God said, right? Like you need to do it, period. So I would encourage that person to walk the line, but also try to figure out what's best for them as far as like honoring what they know that they need to do, but also you can't live your life in fear either. And sometimes you have to just do it. And then when your partner sees the results of it and they see you bringing in that coin and they matching your money or you making more money than that person, they'll hop on board.
That's right. That's what I tell people all the time. Just do it. And then bring them checks and say, baby, go put this in the bank for me.
That part. And when they see them commas and them zeros, he'll be like, okay, what you need me to do, baby? He'll be all in there.
You're right. Sometimes that spouse, that partner has to lead and prove the concept, and then the other person will jump on board after that.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do when you work full time and your partner keeps sleeping with the baby?
Can you guys? It's not clear to me.
I didn't either. So I think what they're meaning to say is, what do you do if you work full time and when you come home, or you work full time and your partner is constantly, because I know some women sleep with their children.
So I might be blocking,
I guess, the intimacy with him and his wife because she's always with the children.
Gotcha. Because I wasn't sure if they were saying like just because the baby was in the, I wasn't sure. But
it didn't word it well.
It's not worded right, but that's okay. We gonna figure it out. So I would, and I'm not sure how old the baby is, right? Because people say baby and they talking about a 5-year-old, right? Okay, if you got an infant under 3, then sometimes your kid might sleep in the bed with you. I don't know. There's no judgment here. But if your kid is older, baby, you need to get up and go in your room, right?
Right.
And so, because kids can be blockers. Kids can be sex blockers.
Absolutely. My 2 sons, I ain't gonna say no. Just
they be blocking, right? Like you trying to get some, and they all, mommy, like, nah, go to the room. I gotta handle some business with mommy right now. Like, so I would encourage her to see if, and depending on their living situation, I don't know if they even got another room, but seeing if they can put the child in another room or put the kid in a crib or do something where you can kind of have that bed to yourself. And also tell your husband, like, I think oftentimes we think, again, that our spouses is mind readers and we don't verbalize what we want, right? It's just like, hey, babe, when I come home after a long day of work, I want to snuggle up in the bed with you, but the baby's right here. Like, can you make sure by the time I get home that the baby's in the crib or the baby's in the room or put down sleep, whatever. Like, make your request known. It's okay to verbalize what you want and see if that changes.
Oh, perfect. How do I tell my wife she needs to start dressing up more? She needs to start dressing up more for me, since having kids is nothing but sweatpants and her hair in a ponytail.
This person trying to get in some trouble, okay? This person trying to get in some trouble.
I understand.
No, you don't.
Not that my wife does it, but from a male perspective,
okay.
I understand what he's saying.
You got to clarify that.
The man wants
Krystal said, no, you don't.
Right, you can't relate to that at all.
Listen, okay. So I feel like, again, there's a thin line, right? You have to be real cautious with this one because when a woman just has a baby, her body is going through so many changes, right? And so you don't always feel pretty. You don't always want to put on clothes, or you probably can't even fit the clothes that you had pre-baby, right? And so these are some things that the males have to just at least take into consideration. But on the flip side, I'm not letting the women get off either, because one of my friends broke it down to me too, because she got like 4 kids, right? And it made sense when you go from pregnancy to like postpartum, and then you're in this whole phase, right? Like you can potentially go months without like doing hair, doing makeup, putting on nice clothes because you're focused on the baby, right? And so I understand that that's a crucial time, but at the same time, even if you're not going anywhere, maybe you can at least do one thing that could change your partner's mood. So I'm gonna shower today and I'm gonna do my hair. Right? Like I might not do makeup and I might not put on like a sexy dress, but I'm gonna do that. The next day, I might not do my hair, but I might put on a cute little outfit. Like maybe just doing small incremental things over time can build that person's self-esteem. I would not encourage this person to go all in and tell their wife, like, you've been looking raggedy. You ain't like that will get you in trouble, bruh. Don't do that. I promise you don't do that.
Right.
You will lose your marriage.
Right. Scale that back.
So next question is, how do you deal with breaking up and how do you possibly get that person back?
Ooh, this is an interesting question.
Yeah, it is.
I feel like if you broke up with somebody, there's a reason why y'all broken up, right? So I don't know if it's the healthiest thing to always want to just jump back in with that person unless there has been some change of behavior, right? Like, show me that you're doing better in this particular area, especially in the area that we broke up for, before I try to get back with you, right? And I don't think just because you break up with somebody that means you're never ever going to get back with them, but I do believe that there has to be some progress, and even if it's slow progress, to me that's still progress, right? So I would add that. But secondly, I would want to figure out why we want to get back with that person in the first place. Like, why are we like kind of backtracking and not like moving forward, right? And so I don't know if this person is like married or if they're just dating. I don't know. It doesn't really specify in the question, but I would just be cautious about like getting back into things that where there hasn't been any reconciliation, any healing, or any progress.
Yeah, I agree. This question, what advice do you have for a woman who's married with 6 children and her husband will not work because he's starting a business, but has been saying he's starting a business for 14 years and never makes any money from the businesses, whether he is working a job or not? She laid it all out.
There's a lot there.
Let me sip my tea real quick.
Right, I'm about to say, I need a little tea for that one.
Let's take a sip for that one.
Everybody take a little sip.
A little sip break.
Hey, B.
Down. She ain't playing no games with him today.
Okay, this is what I'm just gonna give it to it, just straight shooter. Why? I don't care if you got 100 kids with somebody. That is not a reason to stay in a marriage where there has not been any progress. Anytime somebody is literally doing something for 14 years and not seeing any progress, 1, that makes no sense. 2, he lying about something. And 3, he needs to get a job.
Boom. Right there.
I don't care if you got to work at Taco Bell. I don't care if you got to work at McDonald's. You need to start bringing some revenue into this household because we got 6 kids.
Right.
There you go.
And I can't be the breadwinner forever because clearly this woman is growing some resentment about her husband not working. And so clearly whatever business adventure or whatever he's doing is not working, bruh. So you need to cut that business adventure. Don't do that no more.
Right.
And do something that's going to provide you with some consistent income, which seems like a 9 to 5 is your preference at this point.
Yeah, I agree.
And I don't care what he say. You need a job. Look, like on Friday, I was watching Friday yesterday, where Pops was like, the word of the day is J-O-B. Like, that's the word of the day for you, sir. Job. J-O-B.
Exactly, though.
Look, Robert said it sounds like she got 7 kids. Yes, he is one of the kids.
You hit that on the head, Robert.
All right, so the next question is, what should you do if your husband is climaxing before you in sex and not letting you climax? It was not always like this, but now he doesn't last long enough for me to be satisfied. Please help. Woo! Woo, it's getting hot in here.
Mm-hmm. She wasn't playing either.
She wasn't. So maybe your stuff is just so good.
That's what I was thinking. Okay, so I'm glad you said it.
You know, she might have that sauce where he
Right.
just,
He can't take it, right? He 2 minutes in, he like, yo, that's it. So I can't say that this is 100% a bad thing because maybe you just got that good, sis.
that's how you got
And it's just working for you. But I can see how this could be an issue if you trying to also have an orgasm and he's not lasting long enough to allow you to have that. That could be an issue. I'm not a sex therapist, but maybe he needs to masturbate before having intercourse with you. That way he will last longer. And there's also, I can't remember the term of it because again, I'm not a sex therapist, but it's a term or like some exercises that you can use where it's like, it'll prolong your orgasmic response. So I'm gonna check into that and I'm gonna send y'all the resource and then y'all can send it to the people. But there's exercises that you can do that it's kind of like if you were to like hold your orgasm, right? On purpose.
like tantric or something like that.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is. Yeah, it's like you would do that on purpose, but like over time, it'll extend your ability to like last longer in bed. So there's options. What about oral sex? You know, I mean, you can have an orgasm other ways than just penetration, right? So fingering, oral sex, there's other alternatives. Hope it ain't no young people on here.
Adult content here.
Right.
Got you. But yeah, maybe y'all want to try something else.
We all grown up.
For that.
Okay.
So next question, somebody said, what advice do you have for a pastor's wife whose business plans are a bit different from her husband's? How do they marry their visions?
Since this person a pastor's wife, I'm gonna be nice. I'm just kidding.
Oh, give it to him raw.
So I'm going to assume like the church is their like regular income, or like that's a big part of like what they do. Because I know there's some like part-time preachers, or like they got business on the side, and you know that there's different ways to do things. But I honestly, and this kind of piggybacks off of something that I mentioned earlier, like I don't always believe that every single thing you do has to be like this intertwined with your partner.
Right.
And I want you guys to hear me, because still you're an individual. Still God has given you, specifically you, not your partner, an assignment on this earth, right? That you need to do and fulfill, no matter if you marry, single, nothing, right? Like you still need to honor that. And so there is two individual people who are trying to come together for one goal, right? And I don't know if it's always healthy or if it's the wisest thing to try to marry visions. It's okay to have two different visions and support each other in the vision. What's wrong with that?
Right.
Now, if they clash in like, I'm a devil worshiper and you a pastor, that's different. But I'm saying like, if you want to sell real estate and I want to, you know, be an author, what's wrong with us having two visions and creating multiple streams of income that we can kind of like mash that together?
Right.
That's right. 7 streams. Great answer to that.
Yeah.
Here, you want to do that one, then we'll come back to this one.
So this one says, my spouse of 10 years doesn't trust me and accuses me every week of being with other people. Keep in mind that I've never cheated on them or anybody else before them. I am drained. Is this healthy for me to stay in the marriage and continue with the emotional abuse?
Yeah, that seems like it's gone beyond just side-eyeing somebody, and this is becoming like a regular routine. I don't think it's on him. I think it's on her. Meaning there has been some type of what we could say trauma, right? That's happened to her in the past, or she has had other dudes or multiple dudes cheat on her and she just can't understand why somebody would be faithful. Like there are some individual things that you have to work on for you. And that's why when you're single, you need to work through all your stuff. But this is something that I feel like is an individual issue for her that she needs to work on. Like she has trust issues.
Yep.
And especially if he's given her no reason and has never cheated on her, like that's not on him at all. That's on her. So that's some individual therapy that she needs to go get worked on, figure out where this came from, work through that trauma, and learning how to trust her partner every single day. Because at some point, like he mentioned, I think he's already on the cusp of being like, deuces, like I ain't got time to be to be accused every single day when I know I'm not doing anything.
Right. That was a good one.
Yeah.
That is a good one. That's a good one. I don't think it's on you. I think it's on her. Yeah.
This one says,
it's a long one.
it's a long one.
Uh-oh.
My fiance and I were engaged for a year, but together for 3 years. We have a 1-year-old son together. Her mother have been bashing me for about 20 months now because we moved out from with her sisters. She wants us to take care of them. We are only 25 years old and have our life to live. Her mom texts me at least a message or two a month talking bad about me because I'm not doing things her way in my life. My fiance know that what her mom is doing is wrong for that, but she never said anything to her. She never said anything to her because her mom will stop talking to her for a few weeks. But she forgets how it makes me feel all the time. Her mom said I need to man up and be realistic. Be realistic, stop trying to be massively successful and go to college. Her mom texts her and call her every day and talk bad about me. Last month, she decided to call the engagement off because she says she's not happy and not complete with me and that we will be great co-parents. She didn't try to work anything out or seem to care at all. I knew something was wrong. right before she called the engagement off, I saw that she was communicating with one of her exes, and she just started lying to me about it. She said she was done with me and was moving out, but haven't moved out yet. She's still in the apartment with me and trying to spend more time with me now. I still pay majority of the bills and watch our son 45 plus hours a week while she works during the day. I'm trying to get my heart out of it because it's spilling over to other things in my life. I truly love her, and her mom has been a wedge in our relationship, but I was trying to get my heart out of it to stop the hurt.
Wow.
This was a long one.
Yeah.
And not only is it long, but it's layered, right? Like, we're not just talking about one thing. We talk about bam, 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 a whole bunch of things. The first thing that came to my mind is future mother-in-law or ex-mother-in-law, whatever she is, she needs to mind her business. Because when you are 25 years old, I hate to say this, but literally, like, studies have shown that literally your brain is just fully developed at 25. So that means you're in a phase where you're still trying to figure out life, right? Like, I remember when I was 25, honey, I was still like, what is life, right? And especially when you're layering, you know, a partner with children onto this, like, you have to think about how outside people can influence your relationship. And so this is when boundaries, and we haven't talked about boundaries that much today, but this is where boundaries come in, right? Like, I understand that mother or fathers-in-laws can have some input, and that's perfectly fine. But when it crosses the line of that person disrespecting your partner, the person that you love, the person that you have a child with, you cannot let that go on. So the fact that she's silent and never checked mama and at least said, please don't talk about, you know, him like that, that shows me that either she's scared of mama or she doesn't really want to be in this relationship to begin with.
Yep.
And I don't care if mama stopped talking to you for 3 weeks. Okay, don't talk to me for 3 weeks. If that's what needs to be done for you to respect me and my relationship, I'll talk to you on the 4th week. Because we teach people how to treat us, right? Like, the more you allow your mom to talk crap about your partner, she gonna think that's cool. She gonna think it's okay, and she's gonna continue to do it more and more. And when you don't stand up for him, you're basically disrespecting him and demasculating him, right? And so now he's feeling like he doesn't have any say-so as the man of the house or just a man in the relationship, and he's taking all of these hits. But again, at some point, he's going to be like, I can't take it anymore, right? And now it seems like the fact that he's kind of like on the edge of being gone, now she want to be all up under him, right? Like the fear of losing him. And it's just like, nah, sis, keep that same energy because you weren't trying to do that when your mom was present. So it's multi-layered. I know that's the whole therapy session right there, but that's needed. But, you know, he has to focus on him, right? Like, he's just going to have to focus on him and his kid. And if she want to do whatever she want to do, like, she's going to have to show him that she really wants it. And a part of her showing that she really wants this relationship is going to be by her standing up to or challenging her mom. That's the only way he's going to feel comfortable and secure.
Yep. Facts. 100%. So do we have any other questions? Well, we have, hold on. Rashana Miller, I see you raised your hand. You want to unmute yourself? Let's see if I can find her. Where? Are you, Rashana Miller?
Rashana, can you hear us? Oh, she said it was a mistake.
Oh, okay. So anybody else
don't want to talk to me? Okay, Rashana, it's cool. It's cool.
Right. Anybody have any other questions that they want to ask live or in the chat box? I just want to try and get to some of you guys. And before I go back to a couple of the recorded questions, somebody said she said you covered all her questions. Any other questions? Right here. Somebody said, what's the most effective way to communicate with your spouse, in your opinion?
Communication is also layered. So when people think of communication, they think it's like a simple answer, but communication requires like active listening. It requires you like literally verbalizing yourself and like stating what needs to be said, but in a clear manner. And one thing that I've learned about communication is that no one teaches us how to do it effectively. Like,
Right.
I firmly believe that that should be like a course or a class when you're in elementary school, because that's probably one of the most crucial tools that you will use throughout your whole entire life, and nobody teaches you. And you get into these relationships, even at work or with family, and our communication's jacked up and we're wondering why, right? But it's because we never learn. And so, and the most simplest way for me to explain this to you, it would be to actively listen. And that means you basically need to listen to actually understand what your partner is saying, and not just to respond to what your partner is saying, right? Because we'll hear somebody talking, but we'll be like, but yeah, you didn't. It's like, but you didn't even hear what I just said. And a way for you to hear that is by paraphrasing and giving it back to the person. So saying something like, so what I heard you say is, and then you repeat what they say, or did I get this right? So you saying blah, 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 right? That will literally help your partner feel understood, feel heard, and confirmed, right? And so we need to just be better at that. And we also need to be better at like speaking more concisely, especially if you're a woman. Sometimes we could just be talking like that.
You're right.
And guys' brains doesn't work like our brains work. They just want straight to the point. We don't need the whole story, right? So sometimes we just need to be a little bit more concise on what we're trying to say, because everybody receives information differently at a different rate. And sometimes people are not always able to pick up on stuff so easily.
You are 1,000% correct, because when
Robert says, thank you, Jesus. Be concise.
You are so right, because when we went to counseling, that's why I said we're going. I said, because we have to learn how to communicate with each other. Isn't that what I said to you?
Yep.
I said, literally, we have to learn how to communicate with each other. I done been in relationships, he done been in relationships, but you have to be smart enough to know that you are going to need help with communication. And I always knew this. And I went to school for law, and I still knew and was smart enough to say, hey, listen, I knew this was going to be the guy I was going to marry. 2 months in, I still knew he was going to be the guy from day one I was going to marry. So I started to take those steps early. And that's the reason I said we got to go to counseling, because we have to learn how to communicate with each other.
Yeah. And that was a smart move. And one more thing I want to add on the communication piece, make sure you're not having difficult conversations at like the worst times of the day. So I've heard people like, say for instance, you need to talk about money or go over finances, right? They'll wait to the end of the day when I done worked a 14, 16-hour day, I'm tired, I'm hungry. That's not the perfect time to bring up meaningful conversations that we need to hash out, right? So you need to have those heated or difficult conversations in the times of days, or maybe on the weekends when you're not as stressed, you got a full stomach, you're not tired from work, because those factors will truly determine how you're going to respond, right? I know when I'm hungry and I'm sleepy, baby, don't talk to me about nothing.
I never thought of it like that. So you are absolutely right. I never looked at it that way.
Mm-hmm. You know how, like, have you ever came, and I'm sure you guys experienced this, like, have you ever came home from working a super long day and your partner or somebody is just like, so can you do this? What are we gonna have for dinner? It's like, yo, can I put my purse down? Can I take off my shoes? Can I take off my jacket? Like, give me a minute, you know? Like, it's kind of that same mentality of like, you don't want to have those conversations when you're coming off of a very heightened day.
All right, so
of course we got bombarded with some questions for you.
Yeah, some questions.
Go for it. We got time.
So this is from one of the fellas. He says, as a husband, how can I become a stronger leader of the house when the wife has a stronger personality? So you're dealing with an alpha female.
Yeah.
I feel you. I got a strong woman here. You gotta be a strong leader to deal with that. How do you deal with that, Kiandra?
Woo!
Good question, Anonymous.
Come on, Anonymous. I love getting questions from the guys. That be making me happy.
Oh, it's a good one.
I'm trying to figure out what I want to say because I'm also an alpha, so I understand the role situation. But it could be that he just has a milder personality, or maybe he's more introverted, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But I want you to think about like a yin and yang, right? And so when two people are the same, they bulldogs and they butt heads. But when people are complementary, right? When one person's strengths is another person's weaknesses and that balances each other's, out, I think that that's the most effective. So sometimes we think of like alpha and beta, as a bad thing, but when it's used together, it could complement really well. And so you need to learn are the times where the alpha needs to come out and the times where you need to reel it back in.
Yep.
And that's what I had to learn, because I could be an alpha all day, right?
Me too, sis.
But sometimes the strength is knowing I'm an alpha, I'm about that life, but I'm choosing to fall back so my spouse or my partner can lead.
Yeah, let a man be a man, right? Because at the end of the day, a male still wants to feel like he's the leader or he's the head, whether he has a strong woman or not. So what that yin and yang thing really resonates, because that's kind of she's an alpha female. I'm also a type A personality, but we're really like yin and yang, right? Her strengths are my weaknesses, my weaknesses are her strengths. So they really complement each other.
Yeah, and he's a lot milder, like you said, with his temperament. He's really relaxed, real calm, and I'm
0 to 100.
Right, 0 to 100.
Real quick.
Real quick. And I had to learn how to fall back. And I told him my mother was a single parent, so she had to raise me to be an alpha female. She had to raise me to be strong, to not be taken advantage of. But there is a such thing as being too strong. Right. And I had to learn that also, like, okay, I have to bring it in sometimes. And sometimes he's really good with saying to me, like, okay, when I'm getting to that point, he's like, okay, you need to bring it down a little bit. And I don't want to hear it because my ego is like what? But then I have to say to myself, like, okay, it's a little too much for him. Let me fall back a little bit. And I told him early on, being an alpha female, I said, listen, you got to remember my ego and everything is where yours is. So you have to deal with me accordingly, because the same thing that would offend you is going to offend me. And it's different because I'm a Black female. And I tell him early, I said, one of my triggers was the word calm down. So even if I'm just passionate about something and I'm singing something, I'm passionate, and, and I'm arguing a point or something, and it's like, calm down, like that. And I'm like, that's a trigger to me. And I immediately fly off, like, calm, what you mean? I ain't calmed up. Yeah, like, what you mean? See? Because I have to tell him, I fight that all day, especially working in corporate America and always being that one Black female at the table. People look at you already as if you came in as an angry Black female. So I had to tell him, I can't fight that battle in my house also. Just know that you're with an alpha female. I'm passionate. I'm not angry, but you gotta talk to me a certain way. Mm-hmm. And we had to work that out in the beginning also. So that's why I said that was a good question, Anonymous, because
I love that. I love that because, and I was going to say it, but you said it, like, it's okay for you to quote unquote, like, check your woman a little bit. Right. And by that, I mean, like, tell her, okay, you doing team too much right now, like, reel that thing in, right? Right. And at first, it triggers you to be like, who are you to tell me what I need to do? But then if you get in it for a little bit, it's kind of sexy. Yeah, you know what I mean? It's kind of a little turn on when it's like, it is, see?
It is. Mm-hmm.
You got to know how to play it a little bit. You got to know how to play it.
Oh, you want to do that one?
Yeah, you can do the next one.
What are some ways to keep a relationship in a good place when recovering from past traumas?
Past traumas is deep. I mean, even just what we're going through right now in the world with everything happening with all of the race and the politics, you know, like that can be triggering and traumatic for people. But I would say making sure that you get tune-ups. And by that, I mean, just think about like the analogy of a car, right? Like you would never drive a car nonstop without getting the oil change, without getting your brakes done, without getting the tune-up, without getting that maintenance, right? And so I like to think of like maintaining a healthy relationship like maintenance on your car, right? Like every few thousand miles, you got to go in and get it checked, right? So checking could be you going to a marriage retreat. Checking could be you reading a book. Checking could be being on a live like this, getting your relationship answered, questions answered. Checking could be you going on dates once a week, right? Or taking time away from the kids, or, you know, whatever you need to do to kind of fill your cup in your relationship. I think that that's the healthiest way, and not wait till something bad happens and then you try to repair it. You know, you see the difference between like maintenance versus repair. Repair gonna cost you a few $1,000s. That's when you come see me. I'm the repair, right? You giving me the big bucks to help you in your relationship, but that maintenance is what you can do along the way to make sure that your car doesn't break down.
I like that analogy.
That's Jules. I like that. That's Jules right there.
So this next question is, how do I help my wife improve her fitness? Our youngest child is 3 years old, and we've had conversations about it before. It's beginning to have a physical effects on her, and it's also impacting our intimacy as I no longer find myself physically attracted to her.
Sad face. That makes me sad. I honestly think the best thing that this person can do is not try to tell his wife or partner like what she needs to do, and make it a collaborative effort. Yeah. So instead of being like, you need to go to the gym, you need to meal prep, you need to do blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, we are going to do that, right? Like, I'm gonna go to the gym with you, babe. Like, I'm a meal prep. We gonna go to the grocery store. We gonna buy nothing but, you know, healthy foods. Like when you make it a collaborative effort, it takes the pressure off of it being like, I have to do it and I have to change and something's wrong with me. So like we're bettering our relationship, because when I'm better, we're better, right? And so maybe he needs to take the we approach and try to make it like a collaborative effort.
I like that.
I totally agree, because that's exactly what we went through after we had our first son and our second one. For me, always being physically fit, every time, like after the first child, it was like snap back immediately. And the second one, I'm telling you, that second one, boy, kick your ass. I'm telling y'all, like, the second kid is no joke. So I would tell him, like, listen, I got to work out. I got to do this. And he was like, all right, baby, we'll work out. He was always saying, like, okay, we'll work out. You know, let's start going to the gym. We'll start running. We'll start doing this, da, da, da. And even without me having to say it to him, it automatically makes you feel better, because you're right. The pressure is off of me feeling like, okay. And of course he'll say the thing, oh, babe, you don't have to, you look great, da, da, da. But he knows, for me, coming from where I came from of being a professional dancer, I have to look a certain way for me. Now, it ain't got nothing to do with him. But just him helping me and always saying, hey, we're gonna work out together. Whenever I work out, or I start to working out and I go to it, he's automatically there. Like, okay, well, what you doing? I'm about to start my work. Okay, well, hold on, let me throw some clothes on or whatever. So you're right. It makes a huge difference. Yeah. And also too, I would say, lost my train of thought again. You be saying stuff and then it be making me think of stuff and I lose my train of thought. Oh, I was going to say positive reinforcement. So when the wife does do something, and it can be something small, like she ate a salad for lunch, right? Like, praise her. Okay, babe, I see you eating your salad. I see you on your game. You know, like that motivates people to continue to keep going, you know, versus saying something negative or maybe not saying anything at all and feeling like that's not enough. So positive affirmations and like positive reinforcement can really help motivate her.
That's powerful.
Last question. You got it?
All right, last question is, how do you deal with a woman who feels like getting disrespectful when arguing, 3 snaps around, by calling you out your name and belittling you with your faults?
Whoo, that is verbal abuse. Let's be
Men
clear.
are asking all the best questions. I'm telling you.
Clearly the woman's black because she's snapping, she rolling the neck, honey. You know we good for it. Don't get it twisted. When we start grabbing air, it's a wrap.
You start doing this. It's a
Right.
But honestly, I feel like that's verbal abuse, right? Like when you go from, and I always say that this is a no-no, like name calling, that's just taking it too far. And so clearly, sis needs to work on her anger because she's also going from 0 to 100, right? And there's ways to communicate or disagree, and it doesn't have to be on a 10, right? Or sometimes you just need to agree to disagree or whatever, but it should never get disrespectful. It should never get physical. It should never do any of those because that borders on the line of abuse, right? And so I'm thinking that she needs to work on some effective communication skills. But also, I think this is another situation where she probably needs to go and get some professional help with individual therapy so she can figure out why she's getting triggered so easily, right? Like, what is my husband saying or my partner saying that just makes me go from to 100, right? Like, figuring that out, I think that will help her kind of like stay at the even kill level. And then that way, he will probably feel like he won't have to match her energy, right? I don't think he said that he does, but sometimes when somebody's on a 10, you feel like you got to be on a 10, and we just keep going and we keep escalating, and then it's out of control. Like, we need somebody that's going to be level-headed. Even if you at a 10, I need to still stay down here.
Right. That is
powerful.
Great. So somebody had asked, are you accepting new clients?
So the way the whole therapy thing works, and people don't know this, but you have to live in the same state where your therapist resides. Oh, so I only see clients who live in California, but I'm also hecka booked and full, so I'm not accepting any new clients right now. Like, my Rolodex stays pretty full. As soon as one person drop off, somebody else is coming in. So unfortunately, I'm not accepting any new clients, but I do, for this very purpose, I do have my Thriving Couples Network, which is what Krystal was mentioning at the beginning of this, where you may not be able to do individual therapy with me, but you can get access to my network where I have a whole bunch, like 40 plus training videos readily available, downloadable worksheets, and I do live trainings just like this once a month. And so it's literally only $1 to sign up on a trial basis. So you get 3 days to try to check it out, see if you like it, see if you like my flow, my style. And then after that, it's only $20 a month. And so I don't know about y'all, but you can't get therapy for nowhere for $20.
It is. We're already members of it, you guys. And I'm telling you, it is amazing. The information that is in there. Like, I've already downloaded worksheets and things of that nature. Like, just the clarity that she gives is amazing. So
I think you might have some people moving to California. At a minimum, sign up.
They're trying to move to California, and I'm still not going to be accepting clients.
Somebody said, what's your Facebook info? Do you have Facebook or just Instagram?
My favorite platform is Instagram. I love IG. That's where Krystal slid in my DMs at. But you can follow me. I'm on Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, IG, at Kiandra Jackson. So it's literally my name. I'm not sure if you guys can see it on the screen here, but it's at Kiandra Jackson. So,
and her network is what? Thriving Couples Network, right?
I'll type it in because it's
she's gonna put in the chat. There you go. Couples therapy.
And we'll also make sure when we post this replay, you guys, tomorrow, we'll also have all the information attached to the replay. And it'll also come out in you guys' emails as well. So
I love it.
So this has been powerful. We want to thank you so much for hopping on. And
we need to bring Kiandra back. What y'all think?
Yeah, let us know.
I think we need to make this. Rajana said yes.
Make this a monthly or
we need
something.
to make this a regular thing because we need these, these tweaks within our relationships and our business. And I'm telling you guys, if you don't or you have never had counseling, you should. And I don't and we do it for preventative maintenance. Because I don't want to wait till the shit hit the fan and then we trying to save our marriage. I'd rather do it now before shit hit the fan. So, like I said, if you have it, and this is amazing because it's a platform, you also get to submit your questions anonymously, and you gave us a real deal. So we so appreciate you. Yeah, we're gonna have to keep bringing her back. We're gonna have to make this a regular thing. I'm gonna have to slide in them DMs y'all again and be like, yo. So what we doing, Kiandra? Let's work something out with her schedule. Make sure you guys go and follow her. Everybody said love you. Yes, they love you. Bring her back. We're gonna have to yeah. She busy, y'all, but you know, I'm on it. Don't worry about it. Thank you so much for joining us, Kiandra. You are amazing. So when we get out this COVID thing too, you guys, and get over this whole quarantine thing, and we launch our Copreneurs Conference,
gonna do some live events.
My girl's coming through.
You know I catch flights, so whenever y'all need me to roll up, let me know.
Yeah, we bring it up.
Yeah,
thank you.
I absolutely love this stuff. Thank you again for having me on here and for really seeing the need for your network to even bring me on. So kudos to you, Krystal and Dedric, for just being aware and open-minded and reaching out to me. Like, now y'all stuck with me for life. Y'all can't get rid of me. So, you know, me and Dedric are already, you know, dressed alike and whatnot. So we
I got a little bit of that same color on me.
She's trying to get in on our outfit, Dedric.
Right. Oh my God, you are so amazing. Thank you so much, Kiandra. We really appreciate you. And there will be a part 2, you guys, at 3 and 4 and 5. So look out because she is coming back. Make sure you guys submit your questions in advance and we'll keep this thing going. Thank you guys for being a part of 7 Streams. We really appreciate you, Kiandra, and your time. So we love you. Thank you for being a part of the Copreneur family. You guys, will see you soon. Take care. Thanks for being with us.
Good night.
Bye.